We're back.
We are back. Did
And
we
we're-
ever
I think-
leave? We look like we're
I
in
don't
the
know.
same place every time. So did we ever really leave?
No, I don't pretty much leave this spot ever. This is
Yeah,
where
I'm
I
the
work
same.
at.
I'm
So.
pretty much here all day. I work from home, so.
Yes, so do I. So I'm in my working spot. But in any case, we are back with episode number 200, 234. That was an easy one.
Yep. 2, 3, 4. Like it.
And we titled it German/Teutonic Metal. Either way, it means the same thing.
Yeah. Someone needs to explain that Teutonic thing. I mean, can American bands be Teutonic?
No.
No, it's German only.
Oh,
nope.
Okay. What does it mean?
It's the Germanic branch of Indo-European language.
Oh my gosh. Steve.
I Googled it.
Steve-o, way to go.
It basically means German.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Look at that. Tony Clem first in the box today. And you know what I'm going to tell him? Tony, what do you want me to tell? Osric Tentacles. I'll just get it over with. They're not German. They're actually British.
But they've probably had a German guy in the band. They've had like 70
people.
Oh, no.
In fact, Merv Pepler was German.
There you go.
And Seaweed was German. So there you go.
Tony says he has that Sam Exumer shirt.
Yep.
And
Evan
Williams. German is what it means. Yep.
They should have this Metal Roundtable shirt too.
Yeah, you could. I know Tony has bought several shirts from us, so we appreciate the support on that.
I need to buy a
anyway.
Ooh, that's a good one. I forgot about that one. Damn.
I got a new toy. You guys want to see my new toy?
That's gonna be bad.
It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's not a dirty thing. New toy.
That is a toy. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was expecting you to pull out an actual toy. That's awesome.
It was they had those Amazon days the other day, and my wife ordered some stuff she wanted to get, and this thing was like 50% off. So I was like, and it was free shipping. So I went ahead and ordered it. I don't really collect these what are these things called? Reflection or whatever they are, dolls. Figures. But the little teeny ones like this.
We got a Lemmy
there's
one.
There's a ton of them. I got a Judas Priest one that someone sent me to, just Rob Halford.
I didn't buy it on purpose. I didn't buy any on purpose because then I'd want to buy all of them. So
that's it. Me too. So I won't be buying. There's a new D. Snyder one that just came out too. I thought was kind of cool because he's in his pink and black outfit.
Having had to empty 2 rooms to accommodate my new situation, which is pretty awesome. You don't want to collect them all. you want to keep your stuff to a minimum, which I know we don't, and we won't, and we haven't. But
no, the biggest problem most of us have is where do we put it all?
Right. And actually, the guys, that's like 6.5 weeks away. Can't believe it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's
open invitation.
Well, do we want to get into this and get into you guys any shout outs you want to do? And before we get into your pick of the week, got anything you want to say or show or Steve?
Did I want to show?
Yeah, just anything, the normal shout outs.
The only shout out I got's for you, man. Didn't you guys just have like your 50th anniversary?
Something like that.
I thought it was like the 65th anniversary or something.
Yep, 35 years. Yeah, 35 years yesterday was my wife's and I's anniversary, and we've been together for 40 years total.
Yeah,
so that's pretty awesome. You've done what most people can't and haven't.
We met in high school in 1984. So in our junior year. In our junior year, yeah, freshman, sophomore, junior, right? That works. Yeah, so junior year.
Yeah, my parents will have been together 67 years in December. So, like I said, that's something that doesn't really happen very often.
No, especially with your high school, girlfriend in my case. But the funny thing is my kids are both married to their high school companions as well, and have kids.
A good example.
Yeah, I guess. Anyhow, oh look, Rob's here. Everybody say hi to Rob.
Yeah, smooches, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Tentacles. Yeah,
Rob couldn't be here today because Rob has to work. So
yeah, I noticed some of the listeners are already dropping bombs. I love it. Gary,
so
the Scorpions.
So why don't we go ahead and get into your pick of the week?
Well, I got 2 picks of the week as always.
I'm gonna do this though. I'm gonna figure out how to do this. I'm gonna solo you so people can see it nice and big. There you go.
Okay, well, why am I so okay? Well, anyway. All right, rock pick of the week. Since we're talking German stuff, I listened to this the other day. It's Scorpions, Animal Magnetism. And I really, really, really like. Well, I mean, I like all the Scorpions up to a certain point, but and Lonesome Crow has got to be my all-time favorite. But I listened to this thing. As far as bridging the gap between rock and metal, this thing is where it starts, I think. There's some heavy stuff on Love Drive, but Animal Magnetism is unduly heavy. And can somebody please tell me why the dog doing that is the band cover? This is a German pressing on Fame Records. And for whatever reason, that was unacceptable in the United States. The dog is actually further back and looking up at the guy. But anyway, Scorpions, Animal Magnetism. Everybody needs it in their collection. Now for my metal pick of the week. Since I've had the chance to rummage through some stuff that I just haven't seen, listened to, or read, or done whatever, and man, I pulled this thing out of the fires. Razor, Open Hostility, and as much as I like Violent Restitution, this thing is absolutely relentless. Razor, Open Hostility, everybody needs it, especially if you like Razor. I think Dave Carlo has the fastest picking hand. That's maybe Dave of Death of Oath of Cruelty, PLF fame. But anyway, End of War, Road Gunner, Bad Vibrations, Iron Legions. Come on, Razor, Open Hostility. You'll get your neck brace and your mouthpiece. A great workout with that one.
I
And
need to
that
get
oddly,
let's
I need
talk
to-
about German metal.
I was
oddly,
gonna say
oddly
Razor.
enough, you showed Razor, and oddly enough, we were talking about possibly doing a Canadian metal show. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's what tripped the trigger. And I got the best of both worlds there, Scott, as Sammy Hagar would say.
there you go. Cool. So let's get into it. We're gonna get. I don't have any shout outs today that I can think of. Yeah, no, a lot of some crazy crap happening in the world, but I'm not going to talk about any of that. Let's get into
Really?
the
Like what? I'm just kidding.
like Rob. He was in New Mexico. That was pretty weird.
Ooh, that was weird. Did he
Yep.
stop by and drink out of the milk carton from your house or anything like that?
He didn't drink out of the milk carton, but he did stop by for a little
No,
bit,
that's good.
maybe about an hour. Come out, maybe hour or two. Come and hung out with me for a bit. But him and his wife were on vacation, and they were on their way to their destination. So ended up going out to dinner with them. So that was kind of cool.
Yep, fun
But
time.
anyhow, so shout out to Rob for driving through New Mexico. That's what happened this week. So that was the crazy news I was talking about, of course.
And he was not abducted by aliens as far as that's why he's not here today. He's still abducted, getting experiments done on him or whatever in the spaceship.
Well,
no,
for those who don't know, Rob is involved in a school district in Texas, and school is starting soon, so he's buried.
already.
So,
Yep.
yeah. Right, let's get into it. German metal. That's what we're going to talk about. Just favorite German metal albums. I mean, anything German metal, that's what we're going to talk about. So whenever you guys are ready, somebody go for it.
Well, here I'll start. Only because, and I'm sure that everyone's going to pull something from this band out, and that's Destruction. I think if we're talking about Teutonic, at least thrash, German thrash, we're probably talking about what is their big four? Destruction, Sodom,
Creator.
and
They didn't really have a big four. They had a big three. But
okay, I think Tankard is serviceable. I would include them, but
I
Destruction-
would somebody off with my thrash video.
I would kick their butts. I would kick their butts out and put Accuser in. But anyhow, go ahead.
Well, speaking of which, we'll get to that later. But yeah, Destruction. I think you gotta. Are these guys like the? I don't want to say the Metallica, but maybe the Overkill of German thrash.
I don't know. They're pretty unique, very raw. Yeah, they stayed pretty consistent too. Really only had that one album that was slightly more. I mean, and I'm slightly more commercial.
Well, they had two EPs with when Schmier left the band and Mikey. It was just Mikey and 4 hired guns. They tried to be a 5-piece, and they're really horrible. So just steer clear of them. I was going to pull them off the shelf, but once again, we're all running and gunning today. And yeah, stay away from the 2 EPs. And they have weird covers. The Destruction logo is written in block letters. I found them at a record store in Germany, and I thought, oh, hey, something unique. And oh man, is it Unique would not be the word I would describe it as.
I was
But
talking about the Cracked Brain album, which a lot of people don't like, and I actually love that album. But
dude, I love
I
that record.
I even like the goofy cover of My Sharona. So
Yeah, no, I
uh,
really like that album actually, and unfortunately, once again, Schmier wasn't in that on that record, but I still think it's good.
yep.
These are my favorite Destructions. They did the 2 thrash anthems
Yes,
that are like their greatest hits, and they're both just like perfect records to listen to.
yep. Because some of their early stuff, like the Infernal Overkill and even Mad Butcher, the production is so horrifically bad.
I should have grabbed Mad Butcher, the band Mad Butcher.
Matt Butcher.
Oh,
Yeah, I
well.
thought of that
No.
too. But anyhow, go ahead, Steve. You got one to show?
Yeah, since he talked about Scorpions, I couldn't do this without pulling. And this is actually one of my, even though it's not the best sounding, it's one of my favorite releases that I found. I found this in Baltimore, maybe 10 years ago. But
Oh yeah,
Rock Galaxy from the Scorpions. So this is 2 albums. This is Flight of the Rainbow and
Entrance.
Entrance. Yeah,
Mhm.
together in one of the twopers that they did, and
Well,
2 of my favorite. Entrance is one of my all-time favorite records. Period. Not just my
Yep.
favorite Scorpions record.
so let's talk about the Scorpions for a little bit then, because I pulled a bunch of their stuff too.
Yeah,
My
I just
favorite
pulled
stuff
one.
is always going to be the Uli Roth stuff, but I mean, I know that Carcass has at least two copies of Lonesome Crow.
At least I have darn near
How many
20.
copies do you think you have?
I have 18 copies. They're all
Okay.
different covers, all different pressings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a few.
Yeah,
I didn't pull all my
and
stuff, but I love the early Scorpion stuff.
dude, it's a thrashy, jazzy prog record. It's great.
Yeah,
And I want to point out real quick, love
that cover.
I love this guy's artwork. Period. Every cover he's ever done is freaking awesome.
You have the one with the girl in the Jeep trying to pull out of the muck and the mire.
I don't know if I pulled that one or not. I just started yanking some of them out.
Japanese pressing.
Yeah, Japanese pressing with the weird.
That's also the
weird
Mexican pressing too, by the way. They have the same kind of weird covers.
Yeah, the original with the weird
Like the
Obi.
high school
That's actually not
band
an.
cover. Like
I
the Obi
saw
that's not an
that
Obi?
one. Didn't another country do that same cover?
Mexico.
Okay, I found the Mexican one years ago, and I didn't get it, and I went back like 4 hours later because I regretted it, and it was gone.
Huh.
That's a bummer. Anyhow, another one that I think is fantastic.
Man. Yeah, that's a great one.
I
can't argue with the first 4. I mean, except for the controversial cover of
probably my favorite
Virgin
one.
Killer.
I like how
he
he covered up the nipple with his signature.
Yeah, there was an accident, but can't argue with it. He did actually do it. He actually did cover the nipple slightly, but it is signed by Uli Roth. I met him twice, and man, 3 times. What a nice guy with an amazing memory.
Yeah.
No, here's a US pressing with the RCA logo at the bottom.
Yeah.
So the very dark blouse.
my only copy of Virgin Killer. I won't ever own the other one.
I know. Rob owned it for a little bit, and he said, "Man, if I get caught with this, it's lights out for me." So he got rid of that thing as soon as he could.
Yep. I wouldn't mind finding Taken by Force with the original cover.
So there's the US pressing of Taken by Force, and then here is the
reissue. The reissue has the original cover.
Yep, and it also has a CD with a bunch of bonus tracks. It's awesome.
I bought that reissue, and my copy sounded horrible, though. I turned it off after like 2 songs. It was so noisy.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it brickwalled, or what did they do to it?
It's just it was a really bad. I mean, even after going through my ultrasonic, I couldn't get it clean enough to. It was just. Really
I have the first Fight record. It's like that. It's like no matter what I do, it just sounds like garbage. But
yeah, my Fight record was dead quiet. I know everybody had that problem with it. Yeah.
But this one I didn't have that problem with. Like that's weird. Anyhow.
Yeah, maybe it's just a copy I got.
And of course, one of the ultimate live albums ever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I did pull this one too, just because I always liked this one better. I think it's got a unique cover and
cover.
Yeah, I love the Japanese pressing with the embossed Scorpion.
And then I also thought this thing is so great. If you guys can find this thing, it is freaking awesome.
Yep.
Scorpions Live 78. I actually like this as much and even better than the original album, the official album, because they don't do that silly rock and roll medley.
Was that a Henry find? Did you find that at Born Late?
No. I bought this from. This is a Vernie
Rockadrome.
release. Rockadrome. Yep.
I
Rockadrome
gotcha.
always seems to have the Vernie releases, so I bought it when it first came out. And anyhow, all right. Well, anyhow, I guess I need to show one, even though I just showed a crap load of them. Here, I'll show it. I'll show one. This will go quick because self promotion, lying,
Oh, yeah.
nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great album. And then I just had the second album in front of me a second ago, and I've already misplaced it. So, here it is. And here's their second album, which I don't have on vinyl. I only have it on CD. But yeah, this thing's superb. I mean, it's just great old school heavy metal, a little bit thrashy, but it kind of has some. Reminds me of like Sabotage at times, but it's a little thrashier than Sabotage. But the vocals, he definitely has that Chris Oliva sound to his voice. Yeah, good stuff. They do. There's one cover song on here too. They do a Sex Pistols cover, but otherwise it's all originals. And it's weird. This reissue that came out on my label has the entire album. The original vinyl was missing 2 songs, so it actually has only 10 songs, which is about a normal album. But the original German pressing only has 8 songs. So that was kind of cool that we were able to put those 2 songs that were missing from the original on there. And then we came to find out after the fact, after we already had it in production, the vocalist from the band got a hold of the owner of the label, Bill Baffert, and he said, "Hey man, I have another song that no one's ever even heard before from those sessions." Oh, man, we were already done. And then we tried to. We're still looking into the second one, but this one's owned by SPV, so the chances are slim to none.
Right.
Anyhow, yeah, good stuff from Liar, and kind of an obscure band, but they were on Century Media. They were the second band ever to sign to Century Media Records.
Wow.
So there you go. 1989, that album was.
Well, I know we talked about Tankard already. This is Meaning of Life. I actually like The Morning After, probably the best, or Zombie Attack. But so I won't bore you with any further.
Well, if you guys watch, because Steve did a thrash video not too long ago, and he talked about Tankard. Is that the one you showed? Yeah, that's the one you showed. And he was basically saying that's their best album, according to him.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think that they have a block in the middle of their career where.
Well, this is early. This is like what, their second or third right here.
Yeah, but I mean, like that first, and then they kind of got weird, and then they got better again.
Yeah, somebody threw a fit on my wrote like a huge comment about why I know nothing about thrash, because I'm not a fan of Tankard. So.
Scott never gets any of those.
Yeah.
No. The block that you were sending me, I'm like, really? People really don't have. I mean, we're just talking to music and.
Well, and he points out, like, it was, my comment was, their early stuff where it was political thrash, and then they would add like 1 or 2 party songs in there. That's where they should have stayed. But they started leaning more towards the party music, which was boring to me. I thought was pretty lame. And he posts, well, their most recent record is one of the most political, and he gives me he writes like a song by song synopsis of the record.
I don't really. Funny. I don't really think that people listen to Tankard for the analytical, political aspects of it. I think they listen to Tankard to have at least a few brews and to mosh. Yeah, and I actually got to see them at a Ratskeller in Frankfurt in 2006, and it was nothing short of incredible. And I was like front stage. The room was like one of those 120 cap rooms where you're just wall to wall people, and the owner of the store, the Nuclear Blast store that's there in Frankfurt, walked me around the corner, walked me right to the front row, and I was literally several feet away from the beer cross, the Tankard, Jerry's Tankard beer cross. It was fun, and it was wild, and it was freaking loud. But anyway, how about this? Anybody heard of Vendetta?
Oh yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I got a couple of their CDs.
Yeah, Go and Live, Stay and Die. I really like it. This is like I tried to find Death Row, Riders of Doom, and I couldn't find it.
Oh, I forgot about that too.
All the stuff that I've been moving around, and somehow it just maybe got misfiled or whatever. But Vendetta is a close second to that Death Row record. But
yeah, that's fantastic.
This thing really rips.
Death Row sitting right there. Riders of Doom.
Oh yeah, we talked about that. I just showed it recently, so I know it's in here somewhere. But anyway, Vendetta. You want me to show one more? I got one more.
Sure.
How about this?
as long as it's not what I have next.
I'm trying. No, but you don't have this.
Oh, I have that. I like that album.
Oh yeah,
That's a
Midas
great,
Touch.
great obscure album. Yeah.
I just did a little background on just to make sure because I had pulled bands like Target, Pestilence, Cyclone, and found out that they were from Belgium, the Netherlands, and whatever. But this Midas Touch band, the scene was so saturated in Germany, they moved to Switzerland to try and get away from it all. So, but this thing is a technical masterpiece, I think, and it rips. It's just really, really good. And Presage of Disaster. I think this is the only. Is this the only full length that they put out, or do they have more?
I believe
records?
it is. It's the one I have.
Anyway,
the CD for that sucker was selling. That CD for that thing was selling for big dollars for a long time. I don't know if it still is, but yeah, it's hard to find because it was very, very small pressing.
File this one in the back of your brain because this one really needs to be in your collection if you can find it.
My turn.
Cool. Well, nope, my turn. Then your turn. We talked destruction, right? We talked.
Yeah. Vanguard.
Yep.
Come on.
How about
the obvious one?
I mean, how can you talk German metal and not talk about Creator?
Well, you can't really.
So yeah, I mean, I just pulled a few of the first albums because they're just so freaking awesome. They're so raw.
That's the best right there. Pleasure to Kill.
I don't know, man. I say that too. I say that too, and then Terrible Certainty. I put it on. I'm like, oh, that's the greatest. And then so I don't know, man. It's hard to say because they're both so freaking good.
I saw them on the Terrible Certainty tour. That was my introduction to them, and they were with a Canadian band. Once again, there's that connection. A band called Soothsayer, and man, that whole night was just like a complete metal meltdown. So,
any of you guys buy the reissues they did with the big fat 2 LP reissues of any of the Creator albums?
No,
that's what this one is. This is the Coma of Souls. This one is 3 LPs.
Wow,
Yeah.
Is it live shows or what? What
else
it's
a full album. Then it's live in '91. I'm sorry. Yeah, the first disc is, or the first LP is just the album, and then side 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all live in '91. It's really good, and it wasn't much. It was like $30 for 3 LPs, which is crazy.
That's unheard of.
Yep. So now it's your turn. Go for it.
Get some love for Creator here, including the Queen of the Crypt.
I just got this one in about a month ago and haven't even spun it yet, but this is the newest release from Rage. This is them live. And I thought about, so I only knew them from the early albums, and then about 10 years ago I picked up one of their later records and really dug it. So now I've been grabbing most of their stuff as I see it. So that's a great album, Perfect Man.
I actually saw them for who knows why, but in Minneapolis, of all cities. It was put on by Root Cellar Records. And that guy was so funny. He literally had a record store in his basement, and he said, "Oh, you got to get back to your roots," over in Root Cellar Records. Anyway, in St. Paul. But yeah, Rage. This is more of a thrashy.
That's my favorite right there. Execution Guaranteed.
They're kind of froggy and very technical.
On the edge of thrash speed metal with those first few albums before they started getting more into the power.
Yeah, they were almost went from a US power metal band to a European power metal band. It's really weird the direction they went. And speaking of power metal, I could not pull this one out.
I knew someone's going to pull it.
So still actually, I prefer. I love this album and I love their power metal stuff. I actually prefer the first few where it's more a thrash sound than power metal, but it's still fantastic.
What's the verse? Was it Walls of Jericho?
Walls of Jericho, and then the 2 EPs.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Glenn Rogers said he played with Destruction in Texas. Remember? Did you see Hyrax and Destruction in Texas?
Did I?
Yes.
Oh gosh, that would have been what, 92? Glenn?
No. Again, yeah, I don't know.
Or later than that.
Tony Clem says I prefer Creator over Destruction. I do too. I like Creator a lot.
That.
So.
I actually prefer this band over either of them.
Ooh, ouch. I love Agent
Orange.
And that wasn't true. That wasn't true 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I would have said Creator. But I've really gotten into Sodom, especially this one. This is one of my favorite German records right here. But I love the Sodom stuff.
Glenn said
Okay.
no Walters on Washington.
Walters on Washington. But what year was that? What year was that, Glenn? Because Walters has been closed for a while. And they moved to
Okay,
a
before
venue
before
over
we move
by
on,
the University.
before we move on, I'm gonna put this up so everybody can see it. Gary's like, use your words, guys. Yeah, we do have a podcast, so we need to say what Alan's holding up, and I do tend to do that all the time too, just assume
I
people
do
are
too.
watching.
So
But
the
yeah,
one I
you can
showed
listen
was
without
Sodom
watching.
in the Sign of Evil.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all pretty guilty of that.
Yeah.
Being in the sign of evil or not expressing what the title was.
Not saying what the record is.
Okay, well, Rage Execution Guaranteed was the one I pulled out. And
yeah, I pulled that Rage album out too as well. I just pulled the first few. Secrets in a Real World and Perfect Man. They're just all really good albums and early Rage stuff.
So the Rage I showed is After Lifelines. It's actually a new double live that just came out this year. And it was recorded in January to September 23 on their most recent tour. But it's a pretty good mix of their early stuff and their more modern stuff. So
cool. So I guess I'm up, huh? How about this? I actually saw before the show even started, someone said something about this band.
Yeah, I can't believe I didn't pull out Angel Dust. That their first record is one of my favorites.
So
that one.
Yep. And then I also pulled a couple others just because I could.
You got to say what they are. You're still not saying it after you just told
me. So this is the
Dark Past.
Yeah, this is the Marching for Revenge, which is the Demos album, which I thought was fantastic, which is on High Roller.
But they went completely prog when their vocalist and guitarist.
They kind of went the route that Mekong Delta did, where they started off thrash and then moved into the prog pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean the first two albums are definitely thrash. So you've got To Dust You Will Decay and Into the Dark Past.
Yeah,
which I like those two albums, but I like the direction. But this is probably my favorite.
Is really good too. Yeah,
this is my favorite Angel Dust album right here, which is Enlighten the Darkness. It's just fantastic. I just call it, melodic heavy metal, slightly progressive, but yeah, it's not thrash at all. And the vocals are very clean and soaring, and it's just a superb album.
Seems like they had a lot of keyboards on those albums too.
I don't know. It's a pretty heavy album.
One of them had lots of keyboards. Maybe I'm mistaken. It wouldn't be the first.
It could be, but
they've got a bunch though. It's not like they could have one that's full of keyboards.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a pressing from Alone Records that came out several years ago. They only pressed 250 copies and it sold out. I pre-ordered it and it sold out well before the pre-order. So I was glad I ordered it because I love that album. So anyhow, Angel Dust. That was my next pick. Angel Dust.
Yep, like it. You're stealing my pick.
So nobody's mentioned this, so I got to bring it up. Just one of the early.
I knew somebody would.
And great bands. Except
so he's holding up. Except Metal Heart, I'm holding up Except Restless and Wild.
I could have pulled up any Except album. I love all of them. So
yep.
Yeah, I could have done that too.
This is the album that got me into Except. And what was this? 84 when this came out?
Had to be 85 or 86.
85, yeah.
Because this is the album that got me into Accept. When I heard Restless and Wild and Fast as a Shark, I was just blown away. And I've always had this cover, which this is actually kind of cool because it's signed by the band. But I've always liked this cover with the burning bees
thing.
Yeah. So I think the Restless and Wild, and then of course Breaker, which is another fantastic album from Accept. I could have pulled any Accept just like you.
Their really early stuff is cool too, where it's almost got that punk feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the one with the chainsaw lady? Got the big gigantic chainsaw.
That was just called Accept, and if I'm not mistaken, that was kind of a. I know there's been more than one release with that same cover on it, but wasn't that more of a compilation of the early material?
I can't remember. I have it.
All right.
Other than Restless and Wild, I mean I like them. I've seen Udo a few times, but I like their new direction.
Oh yeah, the stuff with Mark Tornillo is fantastic. He was a perfect fit for them.
This is actually the album you're talking about, but there is more than one Accept album with that same cover on it because I own more than one. Um, I think this is
Shocking.
actually. I think this one's actually the actual album, except, but yeah, it's got songs like Lady Lou on it, and it's early stuff. It's just hard rock, but cool picture of the band on the back.
Yeah.
It's just called Accept. But yeah, here's the. Oh, I might as well show them. I have them out. The best of Accept, the early years.
I have the yellow. I have that one actually
that one.
signed by the whole band.
That's cool.
It's up on the
Yeah,
wall.
I've got a picture up on the wall. I ran into the band in Brazil at an airport about 10 years ago. I was sitting in the airport and I looked over, and the only reason I realized who it was is because Mark Tornillo's got that little pencil goatee.
Yeah, the little gray goatee thing. Yeah,
and I did like a double take. I was like, "Is that Mark Tornillo?" And I walked over, sure, and I didn't even notice that the whole band. I just saw him, and Wolf was sitting right next to him. The whole band was there, so yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yep. And then the other, of course, the classic "I'm a Rebel."
Yeah, I love that album.
All right, so you're turning in there, Carcass.
Oh, well, here's one that I bet nobody has. I'm betting that nobody has it. Howling Mad.
Nope,
No.
don't have that one. Hang on a second.
Mad, this is insanity. This is basically crossover thrash. It's almost like hardcore.
Nice. I love crossover.
But this has a track, a couple tracks with Sabina Clausen of Holy Moses.
Oh,
did anybody
nice.
pull any Holy Moses?
No, I didn't even think about them. And she doesn't get enough credit for how much of a pioneer she was. I mean, she was really the first thrash, female thrash singer. And honestly, I didn't know it was a female singer for years.
Yeah, they were at Vaughan one year, and man, she can belt it out live, just like on the records. But Howling Mad is a killer crossover, and I mean, it's crushingly heavy. I don't even know how to describe it. I guess if DRI had a twin guitar attack like Municipal Waste, it's more like a Municipal Waste style, but it's from way back. It's from the gosh, I can't even read it but I mean, if that gives you any idea what it's about, that's
cool.
Typical kind of thrashy type thing. So Howling Mad, Insanity, gotta love it.
So Metal Kev says he's watching for the first time live after months.
Yay.
So, and then we got a request here, which we could probably do in the future. I'd love to do this. Any chance for a prog rock show? Yeah, we're all prog rock fans.
Rob won't want to take part in that one.
Maybe not, but he does like bands. He does like some bands. But
I know. He just doesn't want to hear John talk about Ozark Tentacles for half an hour straight.
They're not the only prog rock band. They're just the best prog rock band. Oh yeah, like Gong.
Which this is a German band, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that is correct.
Actually, it's funny that we're talking about this because I actually have these sitting here. These are not metal, but this is a German rock scene, volume 6. So yeah, Bathu Banfi, Robert Schroeder, Richard Weinford, Octopus, Straight Shooter, Faithful Breath is on here. You guys remember who Faithful Breath is? Yeah. Oh, I can't believe I didn't pull any Faithful Breath. That's one I could have pulled. Or Risk. That's another one I could have pulled. Mythos.
You don't have the whole Octopus collection?
I do not. Or another one that's supposedly all German bands, except I always found it weird that Nectar's on there because Nectar's not really German, but
are they? What are they? I thought they were German.
They're a German band, but they got big in the UK.
So and some of their members are from the UK. So yeah, they're kind of like a little bit of both. But yeah, like Jane, Can, Octopus.
Jane is super heavy. Like their album Between Heaven and Hell is straight up 70s hard rock. It's fantastic.
Yep. Omega, Birth Control, another heavy band from back in the day.
Birth Control is freaking awesome. And Kraftwerk,
I thought Omega was Hungarian.
What's that?
I thought Omega was Hungarian.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't know. Anyhow, I just had to pull these out and give them a listen. So that's why they're sitting there. But all right, well, I'm supposed to be showing metal, not prog. I got distracted. All right, I got to show these. Ready? Boom! Accuser, my favorite thrash band from Germany. Experimental Errors, and there it is. Experimental Errors.
That one's probably my favorite. Who Dominates Who?
Yep.
The Conviction. Who Dominates Who? This is an original Adam H. pressing.
Yeah, I have one too.
And who was it that released most of these, Scott?
It depends what area you're talking about, but here's the No Remorse pressing. Of now, all these early albums. Do I have it? Yeah, I do still have it.
Yeah, this is the No Remorse as well.
I'm gonna blow myself up so everybody can see this. Let me see if I can figure out how to do it. Solo layout. There you go. So this is actually Teutonic Thrash Titans. It's a limited edition, but it has got the first 4 albums in here. It's got collector's cards. It's got a big old booklet inside of it. That was released by Brutal Planet Records, and you can still get it at Brutal Planet Records. No, boonsoverstock.com. I'll put the link in the description. But yeah, it's got all the early Accuser albums remastered by Rob Caldwell, and they sound amazing. Even the band was pleased with the sound of these things. So, but yeah, you can see on the back it's got the 4 albums on there, the first 4 albums.
I don't know how those guys never got as big as Creator or Sodom, or they're just as good. They're so good. That's a great album too. Double Talk.
Mm-hmm.
Double Talk. Oh, here's my my Double Talk
test
pressing
cool.
from Germany. That's an original Adam H one. Here's the this is the Repent. I kept wanting to say No Remorse. That's the name of the label that put this one out. And of course, I've got to have more than one pressing.
Of course, you do.
One. And then we get into the 90s with them. They got a little heavier, a little more industrial on this album, a little more.
You can say weird. That's okay.
It's not weird. It's just
I
not.
think they hurt themselves in the 90s with their artwork, because their artwork doesn't look as heavy as the stuff from the 80s.
Yeah, could be, but this is on again Brutal Planet Records, and I think you can get this vinyl right now over there for like under $10. I think he's got them on sale for. So, but yeah, there's some great songs on here. But the song "Misery" that's one of my favorite all-time Accuser songs. It's just so heavy. It's just heavy. I'll keep going so I can get through them. This is the this is a good,
for example, another EP. Horrible cover for a thrash band.
Yep. This was an EP. Now it's a full length. It now has 10 songs instead of 6. And it has a great cover of. It got 2 covers actually on there, but they do head like a whole. They do a great thrash metal cover of that. And then Taken by the Throat, their other 90s album, which is again a little different, not quite as thrashy, a little just heavier, a little bit of an industrial edge. And then they returned back. When they came back, they started just playing thrash again, and everything. Agitation is just a thrash monster. Diabolic, another thrash monster, and again, all these are available in the U.S. now. Brutal Planet Records, one of my all-time favorites, and definitely has a thrash metal cover. Do you have this one, Steve?
Yep.
Dependent Domination. I play this one a lot. Usually, when I go for Accuser, that's one of the first ones I go to grab. And then their newer stuff, which is all on Metal Blade in the U.S. But this is the Mastery, another awesome album cover art. Reminds me of stuff you might draw with, John, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And almost there. The Forlorn Divide on Metal Blade. Again, this is and then the self-titled Accuser, which came out 2-3 years ago, and their new album is in the works. So there you go. German thrash metal of Accuser. I think that's all their stuff. I don't think I missed anything.
Is that you or is that me?
It's me. Mentioned Halloween, so we can't mention Halloween without mentioning one of the big spinoffs of it. This is Empire of the Undead from Gamma Ray. The great Kai Hansen, who, I mean, Halloween just, I like some of the later Halloween albums, but they just completely spiraled once Kai left the band. And the Gamma Ray stuff was fantastic. I love all of it. If you run across any of it, grab it. They're all great albums.
Is that when Pink Bubbles happened and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, they did Keeper of the Seven Keys 1 and 2, which are considered 2 of the greatest power metal albums of all time, and then followed it up with Pink Bubbles. I mean, it's the worst follow-up you could ever have, you know? So, and then keeping it on the power metal, a couple people have mentioned it, but just another one of the greats. I actually just had this out because I was just spinning it a couple days ago.
Oh yeah,
Grave Digger. And
forgot
Grave
about
Digger's
Grave
another
Digger.
band. Their recent stuff has been fantastic. Their maybe 2 albums ago was one of my albums of the year. So
Is Grim Reaper? They're German, right?
no, they're British.
Oh, they're British. That's right. I get those two confused
All you, John.
because they're not grindcore. Anyway, we've already mentioned this band. This could easily be on my. You need this in your collection, no matter what. Exhumer, Possessed by Fire. This thing is just a relentless killer German thrash band or thrash album. So, oh yeah, Primal Fear, no doubt. But anyway, Exhumer. But I have one that I doubt either one of you are going to pop on the screen. So I'm going to just. This is my last one because I didn't take the time to do it. Anybody have Necrophagist?
No.
Nope.
Necrophagist, Onset of Putrefaction. This thing is an absolute brutal death metal. I mean, this is if you need an example of killer modern death metal, here it is, right here. It is technically brilliant. It is great songwriting, great hooks, breakdown parts. I saw these guys 3 times, including at the Ridgely Metal Fest here in Texas, a legendary venue, and they never disappoint. They was so awesome, and I think that they split up for some reason and went on to form what Origin or not Origin, Obscura, with members from Origin and but
Man,
they're no longer
the
they're
German
no
bands.
longer
There's a lot of German bands that are like that.
yeah
Bands will
they're
split up, and then two members from 2 bands will create a new band.
yes. I think they formed Obscura, and Necrophagist is no more, but they have the drummer from Origin. That's why the Origin picked up a new drummer. So it was the drummer from Origin and then 2 members of Necrophagist. And dude, I would love to see them again. They were so good, and you always wonder if they can pull off the mastery of the some of the studio tricks. You think it's got to be a studio trick, and then you actually watch them play it live with ease, and you're just like blown away. And that's the way it was with Necrophagist. That's why I saved them till last. But
Man, I just had a Primal
anyway,
Fear album out that I was spinning that I was listening to, and for whatever reason, I don't know what I did with it. It's got to be around here somewhere, but I've got crap everywhere. My
I've
office
been
is
really
that
funny.
big.
I got a Primal Fear is almost too good. I know that sounds weird, but their records to me, like the musicianship is like perfect, the production's perfect, the whole album sounds good. There's no standout songs on their records, and that's what's always stopped me from getting really into them. I've got a couple of their albums, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. There's just something about them. It's too polished, I guess.
I saw them. I saw them here touring the States. There were about 70 people there, and Havoc, of all people, were there. They were riding on the bus with them. I was talking to Dave about it, and that was Dave Sanchez's 21st birthday. I'm not sure he remembers it, but I do remember it because Havoc ended up playing as a 3-piece because they went to get on the bus, and their other guitarist at the time just decided not to show. He didn't want to travel, so they pulled off a full Havoc set as a 3-piece, and it just gave me huge respect, especially since Dave celebrated excessively on his 21st birthday. But Primal Fear absolutely blew doors. It was unbelievable. And to your point, Steve, I think maybe they are just too good.
Yeah.
They got massive equipment, killer guitars. I mean, they had racks and racks of spare basses and guitars and behind them, and
Yeah,
a
it's just
giant
it's
bus.
when you listen to their record, the whole record is good. It doesn't like there's not high points throughout the record, and it just I don't know. I like them whenever I'm listening to them, I enjoy it, but I don't remember songs because the whole record is just kind of at the same
Well,
level.
Chainbreaker is one I always remember, and then I'm talking about what is the one? The Angels of now I can't remember. I'm pulling a Scott. I can't really
I'm looking all over the place with the Primal. I just it's around me somewhere. I just can't find it, but I did find this. There's a Sodom album I was just listening to recently.
Yeah,
This is which one was? I can't remember the name of this one.
that's their most
Genesis.
recent.
Yeah, Genesis XIX. I don't know what number
X,
that is.
yeah.
What is XIX? What is XIX? I know it's a Roman numeral. I suck at that. Was the
19.
Yeah,
Is it?
19.
Yeah, I think that's our
Cool. Well,
19th record.
Oh,
here's
hang on just a second. Somebody, Tip Fam just said Vulture, and I forgot about this one. Anybody? Vulture, the guillotine. You
Yep,
want to
that's a good
talk
one.
about absolute shredding? I mean,
Is a good
eh,
is a good one too. He also said
Yeah,
Sinner.
it's almost like a faster version of Hellstar, although Hellstar, I think, is stepped on the gas in their old age, and they just keep getting tighter and faster. Um,
Protector.
yeah.
That's another one.
Oh yeah, they're kind of like a borderline cross. They're like crossing. They're going from thrash into almost death metal, and I guess that's where the origins of death metal came from. I think came from thrash, but I guess that's IMO.
Bugs me that I can't find that Primal album. I just had it out.
Ooh,
Anyhow, Holy Moses.
oh yeah,
there you go.
Savina Clausen. Yeah, we just talked about
Yep.
her.
Yep. So I pulled out these two. Their stuff's kind of hard to find in the United States.
Yeah,
But
They just never got big in the U.S.
no, and nobody even knows who they are here. Matter of fact, one of the labels that I work with, they put out the Master of Disaster EP, and yeah, it's one of the, not to say they're a bad band, but it's one of the worst selling albums that they put out. It's just
Did I
odd that
buy
nobody
that?
knows them or care about him. It's fantastic, and Rob did the mastering on it, and Rob, he did a fantastic job on it. So
Text
anyhow,
me that one. Text me a link to that. I think I forgot to buy that one.
yeah. So anyhow,
I
Holy
can't
Moses.
believe nobody's shown this one yet. But how about a little
oh
bit
yeah,
of
Blind Guardian. Oh, running, man.
Hobbit metal there,
Yep.
man. And these guys are live. Do a fantastic show. These guys are just killer. But and they
Well,
kind of fell off. They were doing the operatic thing for a while, and their last couple albums, they've gotten back to what they're good at, and they're doing just really good German power metal again.
Yeah, they got kind of boring for a while with that operatic. I didn't care for it all that.
Their
much, but
album 2 years ago, with American Gods and all that stuff on there, the God, what is it? It's the God something, the God Complex. Is that what it is? It was my number one album of the year. It blew me away how good it was, especially after they had done 5 or 6 years of that operatic bullshit that they were doing.
Fraser
Iron
Dawson for the win.
Iron Angel, yeah, another good one.
Hey, I was going to mention Francisco Polito from Jawaba. How could I forget Assassin?
Yeah.
And then Poison. And I'm not talking about the Bret Michaels version. I'm talking about the heinous black thrash version of Poison.
Nobody mentioned
And
this band yet either.
No, I mean we mentioned Accept.
You mentioned Udo.
Yeah, but I love UDO. My favorite from them, I actually pulled the CD, is Holy. This was actually signed by Udo. You can see a scribble on the front of my cover. Super nice guy. I was at watching Udo and Saxon, and Udo played first. UDO. I keep saying Udo. It's UDO. So UDO played first. And I went up front to watch UDO. They were fantastic. And then I was beat, so I went to the back of the auditorium to watch Saxon play. And it wasn't a very big place, so anywhere you stood was good. And I'm standing there, and I look over next to me. Oh, it's Udo. He's just standing there watching Saxon with me. Well, it was the last show of the tour, and they were flying back to Germany after that. So he stood there, and I looked over and oh, hey Udo, shook my hand, and I had the CD with me just in case I got to meet any of the band, and pulled it out, and he signed it for me, and I shoved it back in my vest, and that was the end of it. But he was a nice guy. But this was their last album, and it actually was, despite the kind of goofy cover with the football stuff and the band dressed up in football uniforms, it's actually a really good album. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's a lot better than the last few they put out, in my opinion. And
Yeah,
there's
like
also
we're talking about Warlock. I meant to pull that one out. I forgot. I love the first couple of Warlocks and all the Doro stuff. She still sounds great. She still looks great.
This is a fun one too. You guys have this one or heard it?
Yeah, I do. I really like that.
It's Udo doing covers, but his covers are just all over the place. I mean,
it's Frank Sinatra. I mean, it's some cool covers on there.
Yeah, he does Uriah Heep, Tina Turner, Rainbow, The Crazy World of Arthur Brown, Alex Harvey Band, The Sweet, Motorhead, Led Zeppelin, Billy Squier, The Rolling Stones, Scorpions, He's a Woman, She's a Man, of course, AC/DC, Frankie Miller, Judas Priest, Queen, Frank Sinatra, My Way, and a band whose name I can't pronounce. I actually can't read it. WOLF, Wolf's Shear. I think that's what it is. Wolf's something or other. There you go. It's the next to last song on there, so I don't know. I can't pronounce it. But anyhow, yeah, I enjoyed it. Mine, I don't know.
Actually, speaking of Wolf, isn't Power Wolf a German band too?
I believe they are. Yep. But I also have another band I can show before we.
Yeah, I've got a couple more still.
This is one of my favorite bands.
Oh yeah, man. Brainstorm's fantastic.
So I have a hard time picking a favorite, but I really love Metis Mortis. This is probably one of my favorites. But I think here's another one. This is
I like the one with a little assassin dude on the cover. He's like in all in white.
I like that one.
This is probably my favorite right here.
Not because of the chick, but just I like that one because it's a great record.
This is Soul Temptation, and I just think it's a stellar album. I mean, everything about it it's just got memorable songs. Here's Downburst, Fire Soul, and this Wall of Skulls. This is all their newer stuff too. So I mean, they've got a ton of albums before these that I don't have on vinyl because they weren't available on vinyl. But yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember Downburst. That was my favorite one.
Downburst is one of their heavier records, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's got the
I don't think I've ever
dude in white on the cover.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
That were just happen. These I didn't even pull these out. These just happened to be sitting here. But you guys remember Paradox?
Oh yeah, that's a killer thrash band.
Started off as a thrash band. They're more power metal now, but still fantastic. Yeah, Running Wild. I love the first couple Running Wild records, and then after that, they all sound like the first couple Running Wild records to me. I'm not talking about the Satanic Running Wild. I'm talking about the first two pirate metal ones that they did. But yeah, Paradox, and then somebody also mentioned this band too.
Ed Guy,
I got this CD from somebody on the screen right now. I don't know if you even remember sending that to me like 10 years ago.
Me?
Yeah.
I probably would because that's my favorite album by them.
Yeah.
That's a weird name, though. I always thought Ed Guy was just a strange name for a band.
Yeah. Well, and now the guys from Ed Guy are in Advantasia, however you say it.
Yeah. Did anybody mention Gravedigger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve did.
I missed Gravedigger, and then
because I gapped on Grim Reaper.
Actually, I lied. There is somebody. Oh, that's a good one too.
Steel Hammer, which is Chris Bolton. This is Chris Boltondale from Running Wild's other band.
There's one more I've forgotten. These are literally I was just listening to these the other day.
Oh, Rudy Axel
Pell. Scott.
Or Axel Rudy Pell.
Axel Rudy Pell, yep.
Yeah, I forgot he was German.
Oh, here it is.
Very much so.
I knew it was around me somewhere. Finally.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
But I think this is their last album, which was last year. What is the year on this thing? 2022? 2023?
All the covers kind of look the same, and to your point, Steve, the songs all kind of sound the same, but they're good.
Oh, man, that dude can sing. That's for sure.
They did have that cool EP that came with the cutout, the die cut CD. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. So
isn't that what that guy's name is?
Yeah, don't forget about it. If you guys haven't listened to Modern Gravedigger, they did the Clan series. I think they've got 4 Clan albums now. Man, that's some of the best power metal out there the last 20 years. It's so good. Their second to last album was my album of the year. It was just so good. They're great. Yeah, Necronomicon. I forgot about them too.
Poltergeist is another German
thrash
band.
They only put out the one album though, right?
Yeah, just
one. A lot of those bands, it was just one. Or Death Row, what was it? Two albums and they were done.
Yep. No, actually, I have a couple of CDs from them. They tried to reform and they they did a 3rd album and a 4th album on a label from Costa Rica, of all places. It's like they moved from Germany. They were on vacation in Costa Rica and decided to make a record. Although I think there's a huge metal fest in Costa Rica because I think Violence played there. Hellstar played there once.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Costa Rica's nice. That's I know a lot of guys that I was in the military with. They retired. That's where they retired to.
yeah, can still spend American money there too, can't you?
What? It's a cheap place to live. It's a really nice quality of life, and you know, perfect weather, good looking women.
Give me 1 second here. I am putting up the link. Somebody asked for the link to Holy Moses on the and I'm putting it on our thing on our, what do you call it? On our thread, on our whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah, what you said.
what I said, yeah, the thing,
Yeah, the
that's that's
thing,
that's what the president says, so I can say it too. All right, so there you go, guys. That's the link to get the Holy Moses album that I was talking about over there.
Oh, was
Yeah, it's good.
Lucifer's Friend German?
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned them. The Lucifer
was-
Friend debut is one of the best albums of the 70s. It's unfortunately none of the records after that are near as good as that first record, but
And by the
that
way,
first is really good 70s hard rock.
hey, before we go, I also want to apologize. We're only streaming live on the Metal Roundtable channels on YouTube and Facebook. For whatever reason, the 120 what do you call it? 128 dB. 128 dB is whatever for it rejected us this time, so it's not going out live to that. So I'll have to get with Rob and figure that out. But yeah, weird.
Well, speaking of 128 dB, they finally found a place for me in the crypt on 128 dB. It's Saturday nights from 10 to midnight Central Standard Time. And if you guys have any suggestions, hit me up at carcassjohn@hotmail.com or at carcassjohnart on Instagram and
There it is, right there.
send me a request. I'd love to play something that the metal roundtablists are listening to, because
How about a German metal night?
how about a German metal night? You know what? Speaking of that, I tell you what, I'll do the triple thrash threat at the top of the second hour, and it'll be all German Teutonic thrash. How about that?
That's good. You got enough of it to choose from.
Yeah. Now I do. Now I've been educated. I
Right
always
on.
think I know a lot, and people say, "Oh, you know so much about music," and then I get on one of these things, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh."
Well, there were a bunch that I pulled too. Like I swore Hammerfall was German, but they're Swedish. There were a bunch that I pulled out, kind of like you did, that were either Belgian or
like
Swedish.
Target, Cyclone,
yeah,
Artillery. I thought Artillery was German all along, and then I got educated.
Yeah,
they're Danish, right?
Artillery.
Oh yeah, where are they from?
Yes. No, they're from the Netherlands. I think they're Dutch.
Oh, Netherlands.
Yeah,
Dutch.
Yeah. Well, here, let's look.
Gary Arton asked, if I ever met Johnny D? No, I never met him in person, but we did have him on our show, and we did an interview with him, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that correct, John?
Yes.
Johnny D from Doro and
yes.
And I keep wanting to say Girl School. That's not right. Brittany Fox. And you could find that on our YouTube channel.
Another band that lived. These guys are Dutch, but they lived in Germany, and that's where they got their chops.
Well, and a lot of those bands, a lot of the Dutch, the Belgian bands, they got big in Germany, so I think that's why we associate them with German bands,
right, like Cyclone and the such. But yeah, Distillator were young boys moved from Copenhagen or someplace and to Germany, and that's where they got big.
Yeah, Doro still sounds good. I just saw some video of her from like 6 or 7 months ago, and she still sounded great. And she still looks.
I've never heard anybody say a cross word about her. Like every fan has ever met her always seems to say.
No, she's super nice. Yeah.
But so the guys from it should be. I mean, yeah.
The guys from the one of the YouTube one of the YouTube vinyl sales pages. They did a thing that she sponsored, and she brought him up to the hotel, bought him drinks, and they said she was one of the nicest people that they had met.
Right on.
Speaking of Hell's Heroes, did you see the lineup?
No.
Onslaught, Power from Hell. They're playing it stem to stern. Gamma Side is doing a reunion, and are going to play that show, the 35th anniversary of Victims of Science. Rumor has it that perhaps even another band from this area that I just saw on Saturday, Rotting Corpse, but may play. But the lineup
I'm just pissed off I couldn't go this last year to see Sodom. back in the
Yeah.
U.S. for like the first time in 20 years.
Yep, and probably the last time. And who
I
knows?
think they did that. They did one other festival here in the U.S. and that was it.
Why do they have such a hard time getting here when creators here all the time? I mean, I've seen creators several times.
Better management and probably more money behind them.
Could be more popular, most likely. I don't know.
I don't know. Sodom's pretty good. I would love to see him live.
I mean, just as far as popularity amongst the generic metal fans around the world, there's a lot of metal fans who's call themselves metal fans that say things like Metallica was the first metal band. So
please send those.
No, that's not what he said. He said metal was created in San Francisco by Metallica, which is even a dumber thing to say. Seeing as Exodus
please
was
send more of those. They made my day.
I see them. I literally see them all the time. I stopped arguing with people anymore. I'm just like blown away by the crap that I see. Metal didn't exist until the 80s. Slayer was the first metal band. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Metal didn't exist till the 80s. Well, then how was there a new wave of British heavy metal if there wasn't a first wave of British heavy metal?
People have the power of the world in their hand, and yet they can't think for themselves far enough to look up the answer. Oh well.
No, I get it too. It's a matter of okay, well, I'm 20 some years old. My experience with heavy metal is all this heavy metalcore stuff that's downtuned with some dude screaming at like a pissed off drill sergeant at a lazy cadet.
Black Sabbath.
Then you compare that and you listen to
downtuned in 1969, and their first song is still one of the heaviest metal songs ever released.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, I still see people saying Judas Priest are not a metal band; they're just a classic rock band. So I mean, you just.
I got news for everybody. I don't think we're going to be humming any "Job for a Cowboy" songs in the near future. In 20 years, 30 years, 40 years from now. But I'll bet you'll be humming that first Black Sabbath record still.
Yep.
Like the golden oldies. That's just my opinion. But I think Francisco's right. Metal was created by Fraser Dawson in Houston.
Francisco?
Probably last week. That's when he created it.
That's a fun name to say, Francisco.
Francisco Pulido. And he's he's got a lot of projects in the fire too. We should have him back on. He was really funny. He was really funny when he was on last. But anyway.
Yeah. I can't even say the name without thinking of that movie Elf. Francisco. That's fun to say. All right, well, we are over our hour time, so I guess that's it. And anybody has anything else they want to add at the end here before we do our metal salute?
Nope.
No, I appreciate everyone listening, though, man. I mean, this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. I appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, leave us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Our subscriptions are kind of low, which is okay. We have a lot of people who watch live, which is why. I actually argue with Rob about this all the time. He's like, "Oh, you only have this many subscribers," but the people watching live don't count. If you're watching live, it's not considered a watch. It's not considered a view. So if you wouldn't mind, anybody watching, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'd much appreciate it. So I had a discussion with Dave Hogg, Angel Witch, about metal in England before Black Sabbath. Yep. Yeah, that's where metal started. You'll get very few people who are going to argue with you that Black Sabbath weren't the first metal band. I mean, there's lots of proto metal bands, came out of all over the place, but I don't know very many people who would say Sabbath wasn't like the forefathers of metal. I mean, it was pretty much the trilogy of bands that came out in 1969, which was what Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, and Led Zeppelin. That kind of.
I could see you making an argument for the other two, but you can't make an argument that Black Sabbath is not metal. There's just no argument to be made there.
Yeah, I agree. So anyhow, before we get into that discussion again, an easy one to get onto for me because it's a pet peeve. But for episode number, I forgot what episode we're on. I got to find the banner.
234.
For episode 234 of the Metal Roundtable, we want to say thank you. God bless. And metal will prevail. This is where I leave you all hanging and looking silly until I hit the little button here.